Is this our host?
Like the time he failed to lift a glass of lemonade.
I just found out that I do not like melon soda, so all that work,
Oh.
I'm gonna drink it anyway. I don't
I, pre-
waste.
I
That's
prefer
fine.
original.
Original's so much better. I was like, it's different. I'm done being different. I'm about to watch Skibbity Toilet. All right. Do you have your thing set?
Oh, right, that. Let me see.
You know the thing you made.
Yeah, the presentation.
The
One,
thing I
one,
threw
one,
together in 2 hours.
one day, Plime, we'll get one of these under half an hour.
Hell yeah.
like from start to end, we'll get one of these under half an hour. Like, we'll get in here.
We've only done 2.
This is the
But
second
yeah,
one.
the slideshow I threw together in 2 hours.
Well, you know what?
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, oh yes, I'm very excited because I know nothing about Ape Escape.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait for
No,
this.
just my motivation the past few days has just been terrible, so I was frustrated, but I am happy with what we have to work with.
Yeah, no
I just
worries.
get really nitpicky about my work. Okay.
Oh, I do too.
With
I
that being
understand.
said, I think we can get into it. For this Nebula Theater pitch, I am pitching rather than a matchup, the character himself of Spectre from Ape Escape, the main antagonist. This presentation is put together by me, and of course, done with the directors of Nebula Theater, Plime and Saul. Now,
Hello.
why would sorry, greetings, all that.
Sorry. I was
Why
gonna say
would I
hello. How
no,
are you doing, Paul? I've never spoken to you before.
I was taking a big gulp of water, so I'm glad you actually did move on then, because I had like water all in my mouth.
well, yes, I've never spoken to these two before. This is a very new experience for me.
Hell yeah.
Now, why this character of the many, many matchups and characters I've discussed in the past, why is this the one I went with? Well, first off, it would be cool.
Good point.
Hell yeah.
Thank y'all for coming. I really appreciate this opportunity. It means a lot getting to be able to do this. And, well, okay. So that's not everything. Who is this chump? Spectre. Ape Escape debuted in 1999 for the PS1 and is a collectathon style game where you go around as a kid with a butterfly net and a lightsaber trying to collect all of the escaped monkeys from a massive zoo/amusement park. These monkeys were released by a mischievous little albino monkey named Spectre, shown here in his first appearance. He was initially a juggling monkey, but accidentally obtained what is called a Pico helmet, which fits snugly on his head and turned him evil. With being evil comes an intense amount of intelligence, so he decided the best course of action to take with this was to take over the world, seeing humans as the inferior species to the primate ancestors. In layman's terms, he desired a new planet of the apes. He famously hates bananas, not being in charge, and people, and even once attempted genocide on a planetary level because he thought splitting the Earth in half so that people could live on one side of it would actually work.
Fair enough.
Now, why does Nebula Theater need Spectre? Well, it comes down to a few factors, both for the genre the character comes from and then the character himself. For me, as someone who, of course, grew up with a lot of video games and especially a lot of video game characters, I think platforming characters are very underrepresented in verses. We, of course, have the staples like the Marios and Sonics and Crashes and Spyros and Gexes and Bubsies and the like, but there are very, very many franchises that I think bring a lot to the table, and Ape Escape is one of them. There is such an insane variety to this series, both in its presentation and its humor and all the characters, but then especially the weapons, the massive scale it can have, but also just the fun factor of going around chasing monkeys. It's a really fun combination of the grandiose and the simple that I think brings a lot to a Versus episode. Spectre, being the main villain, has more appeal to me than someone like Spike, the main protagonist, because I enjoy villain matchups so much, and they are often major crowd pleasers. The majority of Spectre's matchups are also villains, leading to a very fun dynamic. As for Ape Escape itself, while at this time it is a defunct, semi-defunct series, I've seen certainly deader in the platforming genre. Its most recent appearance was in Astrobot, which was a very nice cameo, but it is also a pretty well-known series. There are a lot of people that grew up with these games. They are very fond of them. They recognize the appearances they made in other games like Metal Gear, and would be very excited to see one of its primary stars back in the spotlight. Now, in terms of what Spectre brings to the table, he actually brings quite a lot, but the main thing to focus on is the difference between what Spectre does and then what Spectre uses. Due to his Pico Pico helmet, which he created an even more powerful version of, it gave him vast telekinetic powers, including creating force fields, shooting various forms of laser attacks, levitation on such a scale that he uses the head of a giant mech and swings it around like a giant projectile. He loves his floating hover chair, which can also do things like shoot missiles, fire more lasers, extend giant grabby hands. He uses his own form of stun clubs, which are used by the game's protagonist, Spike, to stun monkeys to be able to capture them. He can create illusions, especially in the likes of clones. And then he uses a wide variety of vehicles, such as a giant ship, and then the Goliath mechs, which are normally used by the generals of his army, but he can also use his own. So you can have a very strong dynamic of both what Spectre is doing on his own, and then more bigger scale moments of the fight using his vast variety of weapons, and especially his largest tools, the Saru 03. In Ape Escape 3, Spectre decided to come up with a new plan in which, using the force of this cannon, he would split the Earth exactly in half. Humans would live on one half of the planet, and apes would live on the other half. Somehow he didn't think through what would happen if you split the planet in half. Fortunately, this plan was stopped, but the space station itself was fully capable of delivering that power through a massive punch. So that device alone would deliver enough force to shatter a planet. He also has a very strange weapon called, what has been dubbed the Spectre Voltron, as it does not have an official name, but was put together by 5 different mech suits that his generals use. This thing is his most powerful tool, as it can tear apart continents, it bathes in hot lava, and even uses planets like bowling balls. It is the quintessential big bad final boss weapon that a platforming character like Spectre can have, and would naturally fit very well as the climax to the Nebula Theater episode. Now, Ape Escape itself has a decent amount of material to go over. From what I counted, Spectre has a main role in 11 total games, as there are some of them he doesn't appear in, and then an Astrobot cameo. There was a 2-season anime of Ape Escape, because yes, Ape Escape really needed an anime, and he is a main character in that, including a bizarre weapon called the Monkey Ray, in that literally, once it hit Earth, he shot this thing from space with a satellite dish. Once it hit Earth, it transformed every human on Earth into a Pico monkey. Just boom, like that. 11 billion monkeys on Earth. The only reason this plan failed was because Spike was off planet in a spaceship. He nearly won with this tool, and it's one of his best win cons against any strange opponent who doesn't happen to already be a monkey. There's also a very bizarre series of shorts that a fan of Spectre introduced to me that debuted on Nicktoons in 2009. There are about 38 of these, and they each run about 5 minutes at most, so they aren't too long to research. They'll include some more very bizarre stuff, such as the Pico monkeys getting laser eyes that can split the sun in half, as you do. So they're definitely worth researching. There's a completely random magazine comic published in Disney Adventures that I was able to find. He doesn't do much in it, but it is worth looking at. I'd say for scale of research, something like the level of Zim versus Crypto, based on my observations and experience. So it's like something that outside of the games, a lot of this could be researched within a few days. He's not a hard character to research. It's just about getting more familiar with him. For those more familiar with Ape Escape and Versus, the series itself has reached universal scales, but that occurred in a digital realm in a game Spectre was not in. So he does not scale to the highest points of the series. That applies to other characters. Now, with all that said, every good combatant needs a good opponent. So I narrowed it down to these 6 that I most liked the idea of. Spectre's most popular is currently Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls, and my personal favorite of the character. Dr. Neocortex is also an extremely popular option, and I think his most debatable matchup. King K. Rool is an original one I made up that I like the dynamic of a monkey villain versus a crocodile villain from the Donkey Kong Country games, and their armies would play very well off each other. Brain from Animaniacs is another fun one that applies to a lot of the same archetypes of mad scientists and lab experiments, and I think has a lot of good story potential for it. Hitmonkey is here because every good character needs a comic matchup for Saul to talk about.
I feel like I'm being bribed over here. He's thrown a comic one to specifically get me in on this.
And I really had to think about it because there are ones like I could have gone with Gorilla Grodd, but I'm not a big fan of Grodd. Detective Chimp has Howard the Duck. There are, of course, plenty of monkey-related heroes and villains in comics. There's Kong Gorilla, if anyone remembers him. But to be honest, Hitmonkey sounded the funniest. And for some reason, he has a TV show, so. And then, of course, we have Dr. Seuss from Planet of the Apes because I needed a joke.
Is that footage from Futurama? That looks like fucking...
So I'm so glad you put this in, Paul, because this is from one of my favorite episodes. Where... I believe this is from A Fish Called Selma, where she starts dating Troy McClure, and he gets a call to do with the musical of Planet of the Apes. Which funny enough, you don't know this, Paul, but when I first met my new friend group, I was playing Lethal Company with them, and we sang this exact song.
Oh, that's awesome.
I also will say you didn't actually need to bribe me with the comics one because I am a big Powerpuff Girls fan.
I bribe you or not, I just wanted to say there's a comic one because one of those every character needs. It's like every character has a common writer, and I'm sure Spectre does. I didn't bother to research that, but still, Hitmonkey sounded the funniest. So, short version for Plime. The clip is from The Simpsons. It is from a episode where they did a parody of Planet of the Apes as a musical, and one of the main characters from Planet of the Apes is Dr. Seuss. So they wrote a song about how amazing he is, and that is the main crux of the musical.
That's so silly.
It's a catchy song. It's a very catchy song.
Chimpanzee, that you'll never make a monkey out of me. Brilliant. I'm not going to get into all of it, but I love that.
So yes, he is one of those characters that has a really dynamic matchup pool, and it's about what you most want to see with him. Now, of course, this pitch wouldn't be happening without Flippy Switch. And I really needed to talk about him for this because what started my interest in Spectre was his death battle pitch for Mojo versus Spectre. And when that was my introduction to the character, and we've since certainly talked about a little, I represented it for Fanbalcast. I've represented Spectre twice, so I'm very familiar with his debate and how it goes. But something that stuck out to me for him for this pitch is that, well, FDS, of course, is a voice actor. And in his pitch, he talked about potential voice actors for Death Battle to consider, or Spectre, and included the fact that he personally would love the opportunity to do so. He even in that pitch did a short video of a setup for the matchup that, for the interest of time, I didn't want to copy-paste here. But why this guy, when there's, of course, so many voice actors you could go with, but what would make this guy so special?
I
wonder why.
I wonder who. I've never worked with him before. That's interesting.
And of course, he is just a very talented voice actor in general. I think he would nail Spectre, and it would be great hearing him, regardless of the opponent. He fits very well. Spectre's inflections and tone art. He had a deeper voice in the first game, but then became higher pitched in later games. It hits that exact balance where it's very it's very high, but it's not squeaky or whiny. Um, he is very much overconfident until he gets in over his head and then becomes frustrated to the point of sometimes insanity. He is a very fun character to write for, as you can play into his superiority complex that turns into nothing is going right, that turns into you brainless idiots, nothing is, why isn't anything working? It's just angry, I'm going to straight up kill a 10-year-old energy.
And who hasn't been there before? No, I'm kidding.
This was a thumbnail made for me by Evil Eyed Shaggy in the Discord server. Very big supporter of the team and the show, and I wanted to feature theirs. It's a really nice work. And then one I made for fun with all his matchups, mainly because I just like this GIF so much. This is from the end of Ape Escape 3 when you defeat him. And I just love the GIF so much for some reason. Now for
It looks like somebody had their head cut off right in front, but I know that's a dessert. But just like the way this picture is framed, it looks like that's like the head of a body.
Being honest, I legitimately would not put it past Spectre. Being honest, like the age rating for the games means he's not allowed to go to that extreme, but he does legitimately go from I want to take over the world to I genuinely want to kill this child, being Spike, his main arch rival. So he can get relatively dark. Now, I mentioned Cortex is the most debatable. In my opinion, what it comes down to is with the Crash universe right now, I think their stats are actually very even, which I find really interesting. And it comes down to their main tools and technology and how they would play off each other. The debate for a Spectre matchup usually applies to what I actually enjoy about debates, how their weapons would work off each other and how the characters would outsmart the other. I am not a big cosmology person. I know it has its fans, but I can't wrap my head around all those numbers. But where that's concerned, there's a lot of fun in talking about, well, Spectre used this, how would his opponent counter with this? When Spectre gets into this mech, how does his opponent respond to that? How big does it get? And then pretty soon we have two giant gorilla mechs tap dancing on the moon as they throw punches at each other and screaming insults. And it's just a beautiful display. With that being said, this is more in general for the audience. If you'd like more information on Spectre, I of course debated the character on FanBattleCast twice now, and he's a very fun character to discuss. We had a great time on both of them, and you'll also learn more about what his opponents bring to the table against him directly. I will say that Mojo brings the most for an army fight, if you're interested, and that's a big thing about Spectre I considered for pitching him is, of course, recognizing the budget and scale of Nebula Theater, especially at this point, because such a big part of Ape Escape are the monkeys themselves. What becomes the difference between we have like a small army of the Pico monkeys, and then we are literally bringing in 5 giant monkeys that have to have sprites rendered for them, and like 200 monkeys with their own assets and weapons, and it becoming overly bloated. So it's about finding a good balance there. But I do think the show could certainly find that. I will say, animation-wise, I think Mojo works better in sprites, and Cortex works better in 3D, because I'm such a sucker for low-res PS1 models. But something I think would work very well is if their mech suits, especially against Mojo, or if their mechs are sprites, and then you zoom into them in the cockpit, and Levi draws them talking in the close-ups. I think his style would really fit that. Levi, of course, doing the ending scene for EXE versus Kara. And it'd be a great way to just have his artwork show up with how the characters need to have more expressive mouth movements. That being said, I think we're near the end. Yes, the script says Paul finishes the presentation and awaits response. Plime and Saul wait a few seconds before responding. Plime's line is, well, this has been very interesting. I think there's a lot of evidence here that Spectre should be given an episode in Season 13 of Nebula Theater. Saul then responds, I think we would probably go with someone like Cortex, but I do really like researching comics, so we'll discuss Hitmonkey as well. Both of them nod their heads in agreement, suggesting to the pitcher that they will be doing this character in the future on the show. This nod, of course, is non-binding and cannot be used as confirmed evidence under any circumstances.
I was actually about to voice it if you didn't immediately start reading it, so that's I love Ape Escape though, and I love Spectre. So I was very excited for this, and I would love to do Spectre in the future. Do you know what my favorite Ape Escape fun fact is? I don't know if I've
Let's
ever
hear it.
talked to you about this. So
I don't think it.
In Ape Escape on the Loose, which is the remake of the PlayStation 1 version of the game, specifically the English version of the game, after you save, what's the sisterly girl character? What's her name?
Shoot, let me check.
You know who I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, I do. Tsukushi.
So once you save her, the PSP version replaces all the voice actors. Spike is now voiced by the same person who does Zim from Invader Zim, and all that. And for some reason, the cutscene when you save her defaults to the original PS1 voice acting scenes. So like all the voices are changed back to their original PS1 counterparts, and it plays the scene out like that. And I have no idea why it randomly just switches voice actors for that one shot and then switches back for the rest of the game. But I always found it
Oh,
fascinating.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
What do you think, Saul?
Yeah, I really like. It sounds really unique and interesting. Like, again, I knew nothing about Ape Escape coming into this, and I feel like it's worth doing. I really like the idea of Spectre versus Mojo Jojo. So I feel like if there was one, I would be heavily pushing for that because I love Mojo Jojo. And hearing you talk about like what Spectre can do, I could think of stuff that Mojo could do to play off of it. I don't know. I'm really sold on us doing this. I'm not gonna lie, as a character, you know.
That's wonderful.
I also really like Cortex.
I would thank you to Plime. You really got me to warm up to Cortex more. I was initially on the fence about it, but in discussing with you more a while, I have grown to like it a lot more. I think both bring a lot to it. And again, and a big part of it is just how does Spectre react to his opponents and vice versa. And both of them have very different ways they'd react to each other that would work very well, especially Mojo. And of course, we discussed this so much in the fan battle cast as well. But yes, this is my favorite character to appear on the show because of how much I like his matchups in general, and I more just wanted to discuss the potential he has. Any other questions? I'm happy to try and answer them.
So when it comes to Spectre, when you think about the debate, are you adding in every single possible monkey, like the 5 he gets, the 5 special ones he gets in the one where everyone shrunk down?
The Super Monkey 5 and Ape Escape 2. Yes.
Yes. Would you give him like every single special monkey he can possibly have, or are you more so saying give him the Peepo monkeys just in a general sense?
So for a debate, from my experience, I gave him and looked at everything. From the perspective of this is still a versus show and there's only so much you can do, I would focus on the Peepo monkeys. Because like the Super Monkey 5, I think are kind of like the 7 Guardians in EXE versus Kara. They'd be cool as a visual cameo. There isn't a huge benefit in making all those extra sprites for them to have 30 seconds of screen time. And they're like not extremely powerful compared to Spectre's own tools.
Yeah.
So they'd be worth factoring in, but they wouldn't be like necessary to include in the fight. Whereas you have to have at least a few Peepo monkeys.
Also, Saul, the monkeys, the Peepo monkeys inside of Ape Escape, just straight up have gats, just like machine guns, missiles, and blatant lasers. By the way.
So in the bottom right hand corner, he is literally doing a Jason Voorhees costume. The caption is "It's Friday night" because Ape Escape 3 is all about TV and entertainment, and they do a bunch of movie references and the like.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, the apes have so much variety and personality to them, and each one has a unique name because that was a big thing in PS1 collectathons that you had to give each character a unique name to make them stand out more. But no, they have so much variety and little things to play with and experiment. Yeah, there it is.
This is the best one, by the way, in my opinion.
Yeah, Ape Escape 3 is
this is
cool.
the best Ape Escape game. I love that so much.
I like Ape Escape 3 a lot, yeah. And then I had one other point. One fun fact about Neocortex is that for some reason both characters have shrinking weapons. that are so powerful they can shrink the entire planet. That is the main plot of Crash Bandicoot: The Huge Adventure, of course, but Spectre also has his own version of it. So for some reason, that's a really funny parallel to me, especially in my experience.
So Cortex
Yeah.
and Shrink stuff writes down for upcoming Cortex cast.
They both have the reason I like Cortex a lot, specifically for Spectre, is that, like he was saying, a lot of their equipment is distinctly their own without being like too like generic, but also very comparable specifically with each other.
And,
Shrinking
Cortex also has
planets, objects, bowling with planets, and I think that's a minigame in one of the Ape Escapes. Both of them have very blatant time traveling abilities, that they can send their forces back in time to have like literally there's this big time brawl, right? Granted, Cortex's time powers are more tied to engine, but it's not like he hasn't been shown to do it himself in any other game.
And some of it could be pulled off with Uka Uka. If you do, as a personal request, if you do Neocortex versus Spectre, please kill Uka Uka as violently as possible for me. As he was the only reason I lost the fan battle cast on that. That was literally all it was.
I've been keeping Uka Uka in mind for my two Cortex debates, so don't worry.
Yeah.
I've been coming up with specific counters to him because he's been that much of an issue.
Mm-hmm. But no,
he's gonna have an anti-tiki maskinator. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
I look forward to that.
Well, yeah. Is there anything else you want to go over, or?
I'm trying to remember. I swear I had one other thing, but no. I covered the majority of it. I covered my favorite opponents for him. I covered opponents I threw in. Of course, at any time, if you're curious about these two, genuinely ask Flip. He will have so much to tell you, and I guarantee you, he would be all for voicing Spectre for this show in a heartbeat. And of course, you're going to be featuring him in Subaru vs. Cosma, which will be premiering soon on Plime's channel if you guys want to check out the next episode of Nebula Theater. I'll also remind the audience at this time that if you would like a pitch opportunity like this one, the memberships are now open on his channel, and you can get one of your very own.
Bro, I wasn't gonna shill myself in somebody's pitch, just so you know. But thank you, I appreciate
That's
the
why
support,
I shilled
Paul.
in my pitch, so you don't have to. Unless I like shilling jokes in general. No, I'm pretty sure I covered everything. It would literally just be more talking about why I like the character and stuff you could do in it.
Yeah.
But no, I covered all the major beats. And just, again, there's just so much both Mojo and Cortex could bring to the table. I'm all for either of them. I just would love to see it happen someday. And I think you guys absolutely have a team that would knock it out of the park.
I would rate the shit out of this. I would take it from Saul. You got your names are
I mean, like, if we did Mojo, I would want to be involved at least.
Nope.
But like, I feel like you would. Hang on. Hang on. I was about to say, I feel like you would be the head writer.
Probably. I'm very passionate about Spectre specifically. I'm sure Paul knows that. I'm very passionate about Ape Escape. So I'd really want to do it justice. It's not a matter of if, but when. No, I'm kidding.
I will stress, it's not like I need to stress. Ape Escape has other good matchups. Like Spike has a good matchup. Like I'm not saying Spectre is the only one who has a good matchup. He's just the character I want to talk about the most. If the series in general got on, I'd be happy to see it. Yes, exactly. If the series got on in general, I'd be happy to see it. It's not only if you do this character at all, and I don't want to sound like that.
No, I don't think you did. I think this is just a character that you really want to see, and I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely really interested now.
I'm very glad to hear it.
All right. We're about to hit that 30-minute mark. And we have another pitch, actually, today.
We do. We have another pitch in about 4 hours.
Yeah. I will end this off here. I like the pitch. It's really interesting.
Thank you all so much. It means a lot. Really appreciate it.
No Mercy.
Being able to do it.
My autistic brain has been staring at No Mercy because it's a moving object right now. But
that's one of his catchphrases.
Yeah. It looks like Ace Attorney.